The icy wind tore through the narrow lanes of a quiet American town, rattling old window panes and making neon signs shiver in the night. Just beyond the glow of one such diner, a man sat slumped against the brick wall. His jacket was torn, his hair uncombed, and his face bore the marks of invisible wars that no one else could see. His legs had long since given up on him, leaving him bound to a worn-out wheelchair. To the world passing by, he was just another forgotten soul, someone judged, dismissed, and left behind. But on this particular night, his story was about to be rewritten by a stranger's compassion. If you believe in second chances, in the quiet strength of kindness, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who could use a little hope, and subscribe to Kindness Stories so we can keep spreading light where it's needed most. Inside the diner, a young waitress named Clara moved from table to table. At only 23, she carried burdens heavier than most twice her age. She worked endless shifts, serving hot plates and coffee refills with a smile that hid her exhaustion. Behind that smile, though, lived worry, rent overdue, bills piling up, and a younger sister whose education seemed like an impossible dream. But Clara had a gift, an ability to look past what others dismissed. She didn't just see a beggar sitting outside, she saw a human being. Every night, once her shift slowed and her last customers were settled, she would carry out a steaming bowl of soup and a slice of bread to the man by the wall. She never asked for his story, and he never gave one. Yet, each time she handed him the food, his weary eyes softened, as though her kindness touched a part of him that words could never reach. The regular customers noticed. Some muttered about how helping drifters only encouraged idleness. Others shook their heads, pitying her for wasting kindness on a man who, in their eyes, had thrown his life away. Clara never argued. She simply remembered her own childhood nights when the cupboards were bare and her mother quietly skipped meals so her daughters could eat. She knew hunger. She knew hopelessness. And she knew that even the smallest kindness could feel like salvation. The man, fragile and quiet, carried an air of mystery. His scars spoke of struggles far beyond the streets, and his silence was not stubbornness. It was pain too deep for easy words. Night after night, he remained there, watching life go on without him. And yet, Clara's small, consistent kindness became a bridge between their lonely worlds. On winter nights, when snow buried the sidewalks, she would sneak him extra rolls wrapped in napkins. During storms that shook the diner windows, she poured his soup higher than usual, pretending not to notice her manager's frown. Then came the night everything shifted. He looked weaker than she had ever seen him, his hands trembling as he tried and failed to hold his spoon. Clara knelt beside him, steadying the bowl, her eyes searching his face with genuine concern. For the first time he spoke. His voice was raspy, hesitant, but steady, and what he told her left her stunned. He wasn't a beggar at all. He wasn't even poor. He was once a billionaire. At first, Clara thought he must have been delusional, but his words carried a conviction that made her pause. He described his past life, gleaming office towers, private jets, magazine covers that praised his brilliance. But in chasing fortune, he had lost the things money could never buy. Trust, love, family. Betrayed by those he relied on, crushed under the weight of greed. He had walked away from it all, choosing obscurity over opulence. His scars weren't just physical. They came from battles fought in boardrooms and within his own heart. Clara sat frozen, realizing the man she'd pitied had once lived a life she could hardly imagine. Yet what struck her wasn't his wealth or his downfall. It was his gratitude. With tears in his eyes, he confessed that in all his years of riches, surrounded by people who claimed to care, he had never felt kindness as pure as when she set a bowl of soup before him with no strings attached. From then on, he didn't just linger outside. Slowly, he began sitting inside the diner, watching Clara work with her quiet strength. And while she had no idea, he was making plans in the background. The man she thought penniless still had vast resources, and he decided to use them for the one person who had reminded him what it meant to be human. Weeks later, Clara came home to find an envelope slipped under her door. Inside were papers that would forever change her life. Her debts had been cleared, Her sister's schooling was fully paid, and most shocking of all, she now owned the very diner where she had poured her heart and sweat every night. Clara broke down in tears, not because of the money, but because her small gesture of compassion had come back in a way she never expected. She had always believed that kindness mattered, but now she had living proof that even the simplest act could ripple out and change lives. Not long after, the man disappeared without a trace, but the legacy he left behind remained. Under Clara's care, the diner became a place of hope. She never turned away anyone hungry, no matter how little they had. And with every meal she served, she felt the unseen presence of the man who had once been broken, but who had reminded her, and the entire town, that wealth means nothing unless it is used to heal. If this story has touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Stories. Your support keeps these stories alive and helps them reach those who need them most. Before you leave, I want to ask, if you were in Claire's place, would you have stopped to show kindness to the man outside? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your words may inspire someone else to act with compassion today. And so, the tale of a waitress and a fallen billionaire reminds us, true wealth is not found in bank accounts or boardrooms, but in the simple, quiet acts of humanity that restore dignity and hope. In a world quick to judge and slow to care, may this story remind us all that even the smallest kindness can rewrite someone's destiny.